Hey guys, welcome back to Data with Dominic. And in the last video in our SQL Server series, we had looked at the not null constraint. Today in part 35, we're going to be looking at the unique constraint in SQL Server. So let's dive right in. So the unique constraint ensures that all values in a column are different. So this is similar to something called the primary key constraint, which provides a guarantee of uniqueness for a column or a set of columns. But the difference being there can only be one primary key constraint per table, whereas you can have multiple unique constraints on multiple columns in a table. So just to reiterate that, in a table there can only be one column or one set of columns specified with the primary key, but the unique key, there can be multiple columns or set of columns specified with this particular constraint. And also another difference is that the unique constraint allows for one null value in a specific column, because a null value will be different from or unique from, say, another value. So there is one null value allowed. So if you want to cover your bases and not allow any null values, you need to specify the not null along with the unique. So we'll look at all that in the demonstration. So let's get into the demonstration right now. So as you can see, I'm on a Mac and I'm using Azure Data Studio which is an SQL Server tool for Mac. If you're on Windows, you can use SQL Server Management Studio. I have installation guides to both of them in the description and in the top right corner of the screen. Also, I linked to a GitHub repository with all of the code and data that I'm using for this video, so you can find that in the description as well. So let's jump right into the demo. So basically, let's begin by creating just a simple table and highlighting why we need the unique constraint. So I've created this table students, which has an ID column, a first name column, last name, email, gender, and age. So let me just create this table, and also let me just insert some data into it. So I'm just going to insert 2 rows to keep this nice and simple for you. So I've got 2 rows, and I'm specifying data for all the columns here. So let me just insert that, and then I'll preview the table so you can see it. So I'll just call select star from students. So now when we look at this table students, we can see that the ID column has taken 2 rows of data with the same value in the ID column. So ID is 1 in both cases, and it's pertaining to different students, as you can see from their other details. So this would be sort of an issue, because in most situations when institutions or companies specify an ID, there can only be one person registered to that ID. So how do we make sure that the ID that at the point where you are taking data into the table, you are not allowing for IDs to be registered to multiple people? So the way we do that is by using the unique constraint, which ensures that each row of data in the table will have a unique value in the ID column. So let's specify this unique constraint on the table and see how it works. So again, I'm just going to create a new table called table students 2 very creatively. And as you can see here, next to the ID column, I've specified the unique constraint. So just after the data type, you can specify the constraint that you want, and in this case I put unique after the ID column and its data type. So now when I create this table and then go to insert, suppose I want to insert the same data into the students 2 table, as I've called this new one. So I'll just name both of them students 2. So just to exaggerate how it works, or show you how it works, I'll insert them one at a time. So I'm inserting the first row of data, and you can see 1 row affected. So we know that the first row of data has been entered into the table. So now when we go to insert the second row of data, we can see that this first ID value is the same, but we have specified the unique constraint in the ID column. So let's see what happens. So when we run it, we can see we have violated the unique key constraint. Cannot insert duplicate key in this column in the students 2 table. So just to confirm that that data has not been entered, we can pull up the table for you. Students 2, and when you run it, you can see that only the first row of data has been entered. So just to confirm with you that there's no other issue with the table, I can give it a unique value and insert it, and when we run, one row affected, which means it's inserted. And just to confirm, I'll call the table again, students 2. We can see that both rows of data have been inserted when the ID values are unique. So now just to also let you know that as I had mentioned earlier, null values are allowed into columns that have the unique constraint specified. So if we just entered some random data, just to keep it different, so now when I insert this, it is allowed to execute because the null value is unique or different to the 1 and 2 values which we had specified earlier. So but this again would cause an issue, because in most cases we would not want the ID column to be null. So how would we do that when we're not using the primary key constraint? That would be done. So we would do that using a combination of the not null and unique constraints, I should say. So let's just see how we can combine two constraints on a single column. So suppose I was creating a new table called students 3, and then I wanted the not null and the unique constraint on this ID column. What I could do is I could just specify the not null constraint as well. You can just write it down. You don't need to put any commas or anything else. Just leave a space and write it down, and you can write the constraints sequentially, as many as you need that are applicable in the situation. And also, just to show you that you can have multiple unique constraints in one table, I'll specify email with the email column with the unique constraint as well, since that is also a type of data that should always be unique to people in a table in most situations, not all situations, in most situations. So let's create this table and see that there are no errors. I've called it students 3. Yep, so we've got the table created, and now we can try inserting some data. So let's just first insert some value that should not cause any issues. So when we run this, no issues. Let's just view the table as well. So we've got our first row in there without any issues. Now what we're going to do is we're going to try inserting a row of data that has a null value in the ID column. So when we run this, we can see that we are getting the null value constraint blocking the insertion of data into the table. And just to show you that the unique constraint as well is working on that same column, when I run this, we get the violation of the unique key. Earlier it was the not null key. This time we got the violation of the unique key. And if we just give it a unique and a value that is not null, when we run it, the data gets inserted. So when we run the table, we can see that we've got both rows of data inserted in there. So now just to show you that the second unique constraint on the email column is also working, I'll insert this row of data in where somebody has the same email ID as the previously inserted row of data. So when this goes to be inserted, we again get that unique key constraint violation. So we can see from the table that only the valid 2 rows of data have been inserted and all the others have been blocked, which roots out problems in the beginning. So you don't have dirty data which then needs to be cleaned, and a lot of resources have to be spent on it later on. So that's a little bit about the unique constraint. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, and also Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss an update when we release a video. Thank you guys, and see you in the next one.